Time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. Welcome back to another horrible game review, and I got kind of a special one today. But before we get into it, let's get into some disclaimers. Number one, the word horrible in the title of this video does not necessarily refer to the content or game that I am reviewing. It refers much more to the review itself. I do snap judgment reviews here. I get 5 to 10 hours tops with a game, and basically I'm just trying to tell you whether it was fun for me right off the go or not. Number two, I do not give scored reviews here. I don't believe in scored reviews for video games. I think it's one of the most subjective forms of art. Therefore, what I will do is I will give you an overview of what the game is. Then I will tell you the pros and the cons of the game based on my opinion, as all reviews are. Then I will tell you whether I will be sticking with the game outside of the purposes of this review. So, all of that out of the way, let's do this. Today, I am reviewing Mario 35. So, what is Mario 35? Mario 35 is a free-to-play kind of battle royale with Mario, just Super Mario Brothers, the first Super Mario Brothers game. It is a special game kind of released for Mario's 35th anniversary. It is also, according to Nintendo, only going to be available till March 1st, so limited time play on this. What is Super Mario Bros. 35? Well, it's the first Mario game in a very kind of aesthetic sense. What you do is you go in, you get matched with 35 other players. Now, much like Tetris 99, you can see all the other players' screens to your right and left of your main screen. What you do then is you play Mario Brothers. Now, the levels themselves will kind of randomly pick, like once you clear a level, it kind of randomly picks the next level. As you defeat bad guys, you earn two things. You earn time onto your overall time clock, which is one way to lose. If your time reaches 0, you're eliminated. You also send those bad guys somewhere else to another player, whether it be random, and you can choose how you direct it. You can choose a specific player with the left stick, or you could choose just kind of like a wide swath of players with the right stick. You can choose attackers, most coins, lowest time, and random for the right stick. Or left stick, you can actually thumb over to a screen and target that person indefinitely. As you proceed through it, your time goes up by killing bad guys, depending on the way you kill them. So, like, if you kill them with a fire flower, which is one of the easiest ways to kill them, you get plus 1 second. But if you jump on their heads, it's 2 or 3 seconds. If you hit them with a turtle shell, it's 4 seconds. So on and so forth. So, the idea behind this game is you try to be the last one standing. You also get time from doing certain in-game things, such as collecting power-ups that you already have, hitting the flag, clearing a level, all of that sort of thing. There is a little bit outside pre-game strategy. As you play the game, you collect coins. Now, the coins don't necessarily mean a whole lot in game. They do have one use. We'll get into that in a second. But before the game, you can use them to go into the match with a power-up. Either a mushroom, which is only 20 coins, a invincibility star, because it's a limited time, just like normal invincibility stars, it's only 30 coins, or a fire flower, which is 50 coins. Once you are in the match, the coins can be spent to randomly collect a power-up mid-match. And this includes more than the power-ups you can go in with, including the POW button, which literally wipes the enemies off the screen, sends them wherever you've got them pointed, and gives you a bunch of time. So, now, I did play a bit of this. I managed to get all sorts of placing, from losing straight away to getting second place was the highest I was able to place during my playtime for this review. And I noticed a lot of interesting things about this. Number one, the strategy changes as the match progresses. That's something other battle royales don't really have. And that's kind of interesting to me, because you're not facing the other opponents, because you're not trying to take them out in any way, shape, or form. You get to this point where, like, you're trying to, like, wear down their time almost when it gets to just a few people. Plus, as people get in the beginning, you can overwhelm people with enemies, but at the same time, I notice that if I have the Fire Flower, I love it when people are attacking me, because if they're attacking me, I'm getting enemies dropped on, and I can just nail them with the Fire Flower and send them to other places and get a ton of time, which is how I got to the match late. However, what ended up happening late in a lot of matches is I petered out, because when you get to just 5 people, the time starts to go down double the amount. So that 1 second bump from hitting things with a Fire Flower isn't quite good enough anymore. Plus, the enemies start to dwindle, because as people are eliminated, there's less enemies circulating around the board. Makes it very, very intriguing that your strategy has to completely change as you go through the course of this match, and most matches take about 10-15 minutes. The match you're playing at the end is completely different from the match you're playing at the beginning, which is very unique to battle royales, in my opinion. I mean, sure, you've got the opening where do you drop sort of situation, but other than that, the idea behind most battle royales is equip everything that you possibly can or that you possibly need and that you're good at, and prepare yourself for the final showdown at the end. Like, that's really what you're trying to do. With this, it's very, very different, because you're not facing your enemies directly. As you play, you will also level up your avatar or whatever, because everything has to have a leveling experience point system nowadays. But basically, all that means is you get different icons that can show for you when you're in a match. And it can also, like, collect different things. I mean, like, there's not a whole lot on the outskirts of the game other than the game itself. Like, the pre and post, there's not a ton there. There is also a special match, which I did not get to play. Basically, it's a limited time with different rules. I'm assuming since it's a limited time, they're going to rotate out different special matches. Right now, it's a continuous map instead of procedurally generated, and you start with 100 coins in the match instead of having to collect them in match. I didn't get to play it. I think that's cool to just give some people a different way to play, but yeah. So there's really not more to this game. So let's go ahead and get into the pros and cons. Okay? So first pro, the uniqueness of the play. Now, I know you Tetris 99 people out there, you're going to say this is Tetris 99 with Mario. And I don't disagree with you at all. But Tetris is a very different game from Mario. And while Tetris 99 is completely unique, I am sure as well. What makes this game, I never played it. Well, I played it, but I was terrible at it, so I didn't play it long. So with this, that freshness is there for me. The other thing that I like in the beginning is there is a real diverseness to the strategies of how you go into a match and who you want to pinpoint at the beginning. I noticed at the beginning I thought, I'll go after the people with the lowest time all the time to try and get these knockouts. But then you realize that if you're pinpointing the guy with the lowest time, you're basically giving them a lifeline if they have any sort of power-up, because they can kill bad guys to get seconds back. So then I had to really kind of readjust where I was making my bad guys go. So I ended up targeting attackers to get them to keep being mad at me, to send more enemies my way so that I could build up time. Which is just, that's kind of a crazy thought process for Battle Royale. Like, that would be in PUBG, wanting somebody to shoot at you because it makes you better. It's very strange. So I like that. I think that's very unique in the way that it plays and the way that it handles. My next pro is the ease of which it is to handle. Honestly, when I first heard about this game, and one of my problems with Tetris 99 is I felt it was very hard to control and maintain what I was trying to do versus what I was actually doing. And I didn't feel that way with this. I really like the easy, quick movements of the directional pad, which is also going to be a con we're going to talk about in a second, but I found it very easy to switch on the fly to people without getting my concentration messed up so that I could keep making those jumps and tricks. I also My next pro would be the balancing of the game seems really tight right now. And, of course, this is like I'm actually reviewing this like the day after it came out, so we'll have to hear what other people say about this because I think there could be some balancing issues, but we'll see. But I really enjoyed that, like, the Fire Flower is great in the beginning. It's not that great at the end. I like kind of stuff like that. It makes you have to be this all-around good player to actually get to those top echelons. You can't really use any tricks in this game. I mean, you can, but you have to use your window of opportunity for that trick working for you is small. So you have to know when to use the trick and then know when to stop using it. Anytime I lost, I got too attached to my Fire Flower or too attached to the way I was doing things because I like to move very slowly through it and take out all the enemies to send them somewhere else and give myself time. But again, in the top 5, you can't do that. The time goes faster. You have to fly through things. So it's actually almost better to not hit the enemies because you get big bumps in time for clearing the map. And that's really interesting and cool. Plus, there's something else to it where you always start in that first initial Mario level, but as you progress through, you get different areas with bigger and badder enemies. So there's a argument to be made that you want to get through those early levels faster than I usually do, so that you could get to those big bad enemies and send them somebody else's way. I'm going to tell you right now, I had a real hard time when I was fighting through a final like castle level and 3 Bowsers dropped into my screen and started shooting fire everywhere. So that makes a very interesting dichotomy there. My final pro is kind of a little bit more on the technical level. I mean, this game is very polished for what it is, and how nobody had heard of it and almost feel like it was kind of an afterthought put out. Like, it's very polished. It works really nicely. I didn't have any internet connections in any of the amounts of time or games that I played. I had one glitch, which seemed to be my Mario getting stuck running in one direction, but I actually think that might have been Joy-Con drift, so I can't even really speak out against that here. This is just a really tight, fun experience, and I don't think you're going to spend hundreds of hours on it, but it's definitely fun to pop in, do a couple of matches in between whatever the other thing you're doing is. So let's go to the cons, because there are a couple. My first con is you cannot use the analog to move at all in this game, and I play Soviet Jump Game with an analog. I like the analog. I prefer the analog stick to directional pad movement, even in 2D platformers. So that is a little bit messed up because I have to use the directional button to move Mario. Anybody who playing this has to use the directional buttons to move Mario in this because the left sticks control how you aim at your opponents. And that was really weird to me. It just kind of messed me up and wasn't my favorite thing because I like to use the analog sticks to move. The other con is the analog sticks are so sensitive on the Joy-Con, as well as the buttons. If you're playing in controller and not handheld, which I had to because of the capture, I played actually most of this in handheld, didn't have these problems, but when I switched to capturing, I noticed these. The controller for an Xbox, if you put the Joy-Cons on a controller, is very tight. If you're not playing with a Pro controller and you're playing with the Joy-Cons docked on a controller pad, it is really super easy to accidentally hit that stick, and it is so sensitive that it will immediately change your aim. There was a lot of times where I would just like be really into something. I'd change my aim like 4 or 5 times, and that was a little bit irritating. The other thing I didn't like was the roulette button to actually set off the roulette is your X button, which is the item roulette. It spends 20 coins on the fly, and then it does this roulette thing where it gives you a power-up. Those buttons are so tight together, I kept accidentally hitting them. You know, fat finger problems, I suppose, but I can't imagine that I'm the only guy out there having these issues. So, bears repeating that if you're playing this on a controller, the controller's really tight, and in the heat of a battle royale, the intensity, you're going to hit the wrong buttons. My next con is longevity. There is a very limited amount of things to unlock here. There's no cosmetics for Mario. There's nothing like that. It's very straightforward. It's just a Mario game. You can unlock icons as you level up, and you get coins to buy power-ups to go into more games. So There's the only other thing you can unlock is this course map thing that you can select before you go in, and I'm not quite sure what that does. I have selected different maps every time I go into a match, and I still get the same maps, so I'm not exactly sure what those do per se, but in any case, you can also select those. So there's not a ton of longevity or unlockables in this game. There's no, like, I want to see how much of a tail this game has, because right now it seems like a very straightforward experience. It's going to be very popular for a few weeks, and then it'll probably drop off because there's not a whole lot to it. Alright, so finally I want to talk about the biggest con and the dumbest con, and the con that everybody's talking about with Nintendo, and that is this weird cutoff of March. For whatever reason, you can only play this game. This game is only going to be available till March 1st, 2021. Why? Why 6 months? Why? I mean, even if the interest drops off, what's the harm in leaving it up there? Unless they think that it's going to be so popular that in March 1st they can take it down and try and get people to pay for it, which I wouldn't put it past Nintendo. They did sell cardboard to kids for $100 a pop, but I still think it's very, very strange and a huge con that everybody who wants to play this has a time limit on it. In some ways, I get the physical releases of games, such as, like the Mario 3D All-Stars and some of the other stuff coming out, because then you create this limited edition kind of culture around them. But, like, this is not physical. It's digital only. It's a free game. What is the point of taking this down? Like, Nintendo, why? Somebody explain to me what they could possibly gain from only having this up for 6 months. I don't get it. In any case, that's it. It brings us to whether or not I'm going to stick with it. Like I said, the longevity, I don't know if it's here, but this is a lot of fun to just jump in and play here and there, and I can't imagine myself not doing that, especially with Switch being handheld. It's great if you're in a waiting room or you're waiting for your kid to go to sleep at night or something along those lines. It's just a great way to just jump in and play. The servers are full right now, which means that, like, you get into a game really fast. There's not a lot of queue or waiting times. I don't think I waited longer than 20 seconds to get into a match, any given match that I try to get into. So yeah, if you're a person who likes 2D platformers, likes the original Mario, and does not want to worry about, like, story or lead-in, only has a certain amount of time or a small window to play, this is a great game for you because, like I said, you just jump in, you play for as long as you can or want, and then you put it down, and you're not losing anything. Alright, so yeah, there you guys go. I hope it helped you guys out with this review of Mario 35. As usual, you can check us out on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. Join our Discord. The link is in the description below. We'd love to hear from you. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. And then if you like us, please subscribe, share us, tell your friends about us. We really want that subscriber count to go up. And yeah, we just like doing this. So as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next week.